Every lie we tell incurs a debt to the truth. And sooner or later, that debt is paid. That's from the TV show Chernobyl, which looks at the biggest nuclear disaster in the world's history and tries to explain how it happened, what went wrong. And what went wrong? Everybody was lying. From the top to the very bottom, everyone was lying and not believing what they were seeing with their own eyes. Now, in the UK right now, we are incurring a huge, unfathomable debt built up by over 40 years of tabloid lies about the European Union. Everything that's bad that's ever happened in your life is the fault of the EU. Your wife left you, your dog died, you can't get an erection. It's the EU's fault because of X, Y, and Z. 40 years of lies, incessant lies. And each one of those lies incurs a debt to the truth. And we're paying off that debt right now. I can give you some numbers. I can tell you that the government debt, the actual government debt, is £1.8 trillion. I can tell you that the GDP of the UK is 2.1 trillion. Probably won't mean much to you. A trillion is a crazy number. It's far too big for anyone to really imagine. I could tell you that £1 trillion of assets have left the nation, and the profits that we taxed have also left the nation, so that tax money has gone. I don't know if you can get your head around that either. It's still £1 trillion. It's still a million. It's too much. The GDP of the entire world is 64 trillion. And $1 trillion of assets, so more than 1% of the GDP of the world, has left the United Kingdom because of Brexit. Still, I don't know if this matters. I don't know if this means much to the people watching this video. I guess people, if you don't work in the City of London, you don't work for a bank, who cares? It's only money. Then I might say that there was a movie that came out in 2017 called Monster Trucks with Rob Lowe in it. It was a huge flop. It was about monsters that live in trucks. So of course it was a huge flop because it's a terrible idea for a film. However, more money was invested in the movie Monster Trucks than has been invested in the British car industry so far this year. The entire British car industry. Does that put it into perspective? Or maybe just this. The pound has lost 27% of its value since the referendum. 27%. So the pound in your pocket is now worth 73 pence. Brexit did that. Brexit, not people complaining about Brexit, but Brexit did it. Those lies that the tabloids told, those lies that Nigel Farage told, the lies that Boris Johnson told when he was Telegraph correspondent and he was chucking these, I think he said he was chucking grenades over the fence, lobbing grenades of untruth about bendy bananas and bonkers Brussels bureaucracy. He just made it up. And those lies have incurred a debt. A monetary value, I can give that. I can say this is how much this has cost us in money. But it's cost us so much more than that. Because this isn't just about money. It never was. What else have we lost? What else are we going to spend the rest of our lives paying off? Our democracy is in tatters. We have a Prime Minister willing to prorogue Parliament for 5 weeks to get his way through. We had a referendum in which 5 million people who were most affected by the result of the referendum weren't allowed to vote in it. We had a referendum in which cheating and lying and even breaking the law was commonplace. Vote Leave broke the law. Believe broke the law. Leave.eu broke the law. Cambridge Analytica broke the law. Facebook broke the law. And yet, here we are, still going ahead with it. It's going to take our democracy a long time to recover from that, from the shock of this idea that we can just do what we like. We don't have to ask people, we don't have to inform them correctly. We can just lie to them and manipulate them. That's fine. No, you can't do that in a democracy. It doesn't work. Democracy starts to fall apart. Democracy is all about compromise. When you start getting these crazy ideas of one way or the other, extremism, fundamentalism, a religious devotion to an idea that is ultimately damaging, that debt is going to take a long time to run through the system and to pay it off. But even bigger than that is Britain standing on the world stage. We have insulted, demeaned, we have cruelly taken away the rights of citizens from other countries, their governments. We have said that we have, under our Prime Minister, who has compared people from Europe to concentration camp guards, to people in Africa who he called pickaninnies with watermelon smiles, to Burma, where he was quoting a poem by Rudyard Kipling, which was really offensive to the Burmese in Burma. And now we're saying to Ireland, our closest partner, a place that we've had a common travel area with since the 40s, we're saying to Ireland, we are going to screw you over. There are people saying, oh, it's going to be bad for us, but it'll be worse for them. Like, that's a good thing. The EU is made of 28 countries. 22 of them are in NATO. These are not just our colleagues. These are not just our trading partners. These are our allies. And they have signed a document to say that if we get invaded by another country, they will come to our support. We don't have that from Russia. We don't have that from these countries that we're trying to emulate, like Singapore. It's not part of NATO. They don't care. South Korea, they don't care. And so we're going to end up as Billy No Mates on the world stage. Actually, in a way, we kind of already are. And the poor diplomatic corps, the foreign service of the United Kingdom, that over the last 50 years has tried so hard to make Britain's reputation one of fairness, of equality, of playing by the rules, has all been washed away. Britain's soft power has been horrifically diminished, and we don't have a hard power to back it up. All because of Brexit. This is where we are right now. This is the debt that Brexit has cost us. This is the debt of that pile, that mound, that mountain of lies built up by Rupert Murdoch's newspapers and the newspapers owned by the owners of the Ritz, telling people that the problems in their life aren't caused by people refusing to pay their fair share of tax, but are caused by the EU, which is trying to force people to pay their fair share of tax, no matter how wealthy they are. But I've covered the monetary side of it. I've covered the international standing and our own democracy side of it. But I don't think that is the biggest debt of the Brexit lies. The biggest debt that I don't know if we're ever going to pay it off is us. It's our lives. And it's our relationships with our family, with our neighbours, with our colleagues, with our friends. Which way did you vote? I find it difficult now to talk to my friends who I know voted Leave, because I know they voted for something that has done irredeemable harm to me personally, financially, but also to our country and to the children of the country. And I'm not the only one. There are 16 million more like me who are in this situation. And then there's 17 million on the other side who probably feel exactly the same way. Families torn apart. And now we have a situation in which we have the government playing fast and loose with the rights of EU citizens in this country and the rights of British citizens living in the EU 27. We're talking about ripping up families. We're talking about a husband or a wife being forcibly thrown out of the country. Their children standing there at the airport, bawling their eyes out. Mummy, Daddy, I'll see you on Skype. We're tearing these families apart. We've torn our relationships apart. Colleagues at work who don't talk to each other anymore, won't even look each other in the eye. Why? Because of the debt of lies. Each lie that is told incurs a debt to the truth. And that truth and that debt must be paid. It will be paid sooner or later. We're already paying it now. If we stop Brexit tomorrow, probably we're going to have this rumbling on for a few more years. If we go through with Brexit, and it is as bad as literally every expert in the country believes it to be, including the experts on the Leave side, who talk about basically destroying British industry and the agri-foods industry as well. If they're right, we won't just be talking about Brexit for the next few years. It's all we will talk about for the rest of our lives. So please, don't tell me that Brexit will be worth it, because we already know it's not worth it, and it never, ever will be.